The next item is item 4, public question time. I'm now going to ask Mr. Antony Carpen to come forward and ask his question. Welcome back, Mr. Carpen.
Thank you very much, Councillor. Good morning, ladies and gentlemen. I shall read the question as follows, which I also published on my blog a couple of weeks ago. The Seven Place development received planning approval on the 3rd of February from Cambridge City Council councillors on the casting vote of the Planning Committee Chair. The previous evening, at a meeting of the Cambridge Cycling Campaign, campaign officers stated that County Council officials, as statutory consultees, had not raised objections regarding transport access, even though in the opinion of the campaign in their submission to the planning process, there were clear concerns. Quotations reported from the planning hearing, reported on social media, indicated that city councillors had concerns about transport access, but because the County Council, as the Transport Authority, had not raised these, they, as city councillors, felt that they had their hands tied. Refusing the application on transport grounds, where the County Council had not raised objections, would make such a refusal straightforward to overturn by our planning inspector. Two former city councillors, Mr Tim Ward and Mr Colin Rosensteel, posted on social media that this was not the first time that the County Council, as statutory consultees, had failed to raise objections on transport access on planning applications heard by Cambridge City Council. I would therefore like to hear whether, 1, it is the opinion of County Council transport officers that they had no issues with the transport access to that site. 2, whether there are any possible procedural changes that allow for the assessment to be challenged before it is submitted or finalised as statutory consultees, which was an issue raised by campaigners at the Cambridge Cycling Campaign meeting. And then finally, whether transport officers feel they have sufficient capacity to carry out their functions as required of them as statutory consultees, and if not, whether the County Council can increase their resources or perhaps move to a system where officers can perhaps crowdsource the much needed scrutiny function until such a time that local government resources can be increased to enable them to carry out their statutory duties. And in the blog post I've put links to the planning application referred to. Thank you very much.
Thank you, Mr. Carpen. You managed to fit your 3 questions into the 2 minutes.
Mr. Carpen, in response to your specific questions, number 1, the opinion of the County Council transport officers, they had no issues. Yes, they did have issues. But as in all pre-planning, they are in consultation with people putting in the plans, and their concerns were actually made good, and so they didn't have to actually put in any refusal or recommendation for refusal because of that. Procedural changes, there's already consultation, both public, elected representatives, you can go through committees, so there's lots of ways that you can actually have input into things. Is there anything else? I can't think of anything, but I'll put it in the response if I do think of something. And whether transport officers feel they have sufficient capacity to carry out their functions required of them as statutory consultees, the simple answer is yes. They take this very, very seriously. Yes, there is less money than before, but they will make sure that they are always able to fulfil their function in this regard. Thank you.